Mosquera medical books, Victor Gyokeres updates, David Ornstein speaking on the wider landscape of Arsenal, and he's dropped several names in terms of incomings and outgoings. And if we believe reports, something a lot of us Arsenal fans want to see, Eze signing for Arsenal. Apparently, Eze is our next target. So yeah, smash the like button, stick it around to the end, and we'll go over everything. Now, you would have seen yesterday, or better yet, over before yesterday, Christian Mosquera of Valencia, the Spanish under-21s defender. He also plays for Valencia. Obviously, he's been linked with Arsenal, been seen as a deal that isn't too difficult to get done. It seems like in the last week or so, not only that, but, Mr. Gyokeres, things are advancing, people. And I think I speak for every Arsenal fan where it's nice to see signings. It's nice to see the club come through. You know what? We're always ready to draw out the club when they say things and don't come out and do it, people. They did say July things are going to go off, and it feels like this week, Gyokeres, it feels like that's going to get done. Mascara is going to get through the door. Hopefully we get Eze in. Hopefully there's some outgoings and whatnot. And then there's small, well, you know what? We need to just focus on Eze. I've made my position clear, but Eze and Rodrigo, I can't say I believe that. I think too many dominoes need to fall in place. I think we need to flush out every player that needs to be sold. There might be maybe not necessarily an unpopular sale, but maybe like someone you didn't have on your summer departure cards, people. But who knows? As I said, this story's been developing in the last 24 hours. You've heard we're working to complete this deal. You've heard his medical at Arsenal has been booked, and you would have seen on social media Arsenal fans doing what they're doing. In the case of Gyokeres tracking his car, they've obviously pictured Mascara getting on a plane and all of that, saying goodbye to the Valencia players, not the players, sorry, the fans, etc., etc. As I just said, Fabrizio Romano has said Christian Mosquera's medical at Arsenal has been booked with documents in place between clubs. Mascara will sign long-term deal later this week. Here we go, fully confirmed. And I'd imagine Arsenal, definitely where Mascara and Gyokeres are concerned, trying to get that tied up so that these lot fly off with the boys to Singapore. Maybe even participate some capacity of the behind closed doors friendly against Watford. If you don't know what I'm referring to, apparently we're going to have a training ground friendly against Watford, and the same day we're flying to Singapore, obviously to really kick off our pre-season. We've been in Spain here and there. Obviously, we're filtering back to London Coley or whatever it's called. We're going off to Singapore, where I think we play Spurs, Newcastle, AC Milan. We stop off in England again with the Emirates Cup or Villarreal and Bilbao. And then, it's where it starts at Man United and ends whenever. I don't even remember our last game of the season, but that's our season started, people. So, yeah, man, it seems like this is going somewhere. Big up hand of Arsenal. He said an Arsenal delegation is awaiting the arrival of Mosquera. The Spaniard will complete his medical examinations and sign his contract. Excellent reporting by Mateo Moreta. And obviously, I completely forgot Noni Madueke. He's been pictured doing his medical, so you'd more or less say his deal's done. And we have 3 in the door, obviously, to fly off on holiday, people. Well, I say holiday, it's anything. But as I said, David Ornstein has done his thing on The Athletic. Is Gyokeres close to getting over the line? Now, Arsenal fans, I think I speak for all of you lot. We don't want to hear no spanners in the works. You need to get this one done. And Sesko's followed Liverpool as well, people. Shady guy in it. But anyways, Arsenal on the verge of finally landing a number 9. A deal in principle is in place with Sporting Lisbon. I thought we'd never get here, innit? Arsenal will pay a fixed fee of €63.5 million, which equates to £54.8 million, plus a further £8.6 million or €10 million in potential add-ons for Gyokeres. Arteta was eager to sign a centre-forward in time for them to participate in the bulk of Arsenal's pre-season preparations, and now that appears feasible. And I don't want to be that guy, but, if you have Havertz or Marino or anyone that could claim to, at this moment in time, until Gyokeres is signed off, is our first choice striker, pressure for places, fight for your spot, go and give Mikel Arteta a headache. Arsenal hope to close the deal in time for Gyokeres to join them when they depart for Singapore on Saturday. It's been a frenetic week, people, for on the transfer front. Arsenal have also agreed a deal to sign Noni Madueke from Chelsea. Arsenal pay an initial fee of £48.5 million with a possible £3.5 million in potential add-ons. Madueke is expected to sign before Arsenal depart for Asia, but after participation in the FIFA Club World Cup, he may not join up with the squad until they return. I hear that because fitness is somewhere ahead, and I mean that's David Ornstein, but surely a new player, the quicker he gets in and trains, that's great. But, just bonds with the team and whatnot. And actually, I would say for fans, now fans are going to give the man support. They can have their question marks, but fans all over the world, fans at the ground, everybody's going to support the guy. But expose him to Arsenal, innit? You have him around in pre-season, he might score, he can feel the temperature out, get comfortable and whatnot. Arsenal, let's just hope it's not, if there's no skill shows. Remember, Kai Havertz is doing the little skills, and it was horrible. That kind of cameo from him. He's come a long way. Arsenal also working to complete the signing of Valencia centre-back Christian Mosquera. Personal terms with the 21-year-old are already in place, and the two clubs are close to an agreement. Maresca, a right-footed centre-half who has played on either side of the central defensive axis, will add competition and cover for first-choice pair Gabriel Magalhaes and obviously William Saliba, people, which we're here for. If Arsenal can add Gyokeres, Madueke, and Maresca to the... Well, I keep saying Maresca, the Chelsea guy. Mosquera to the signings of Martin Zubimendi, Kepa, and Norgard, they have attended to many of their positional needs. They are not yet closed for business, which is great for us, and it smashed the like button. However, Arsenal are still considering bringing in an additional attacker. Their interest in the likes of Rodrigo and Eze remains, but may not be developed until later in the window and could potentially be offset by securing some sales. There is an element of moving people on that is a bit different. Well, not really, because if you've got Madueke, Gyokeres, and you get one of Rodrigo or Eze, that means the club, or the language we heard about the club wanting to bring in three attackers is true. But it does feel a bit different, because wasn't Eze's pursuit irrelevant of our pursuit of a striker and a left winger, depending on if you see Madueke's long-term future at the football club left wing, as well as being able to play off the right. Arsenal are open to offers for a quartet of senior players who spent last season out on loan. Carl Hein, who's been linked with Sevilla. Lokonga, who signed an extension, but essentially just a 1 year, who was on loan at Sevilla. We all know he's going to be gone. Fabio Vieira and Reece Nelson. I'll be keen to see if these lot jet off to Singapore. You know, is it Man United? I think Man United, it's just rumours, but I think Man United have told their want-away players you can only train after 5 p.m. or something like that. You know how rumours are, but I don't think we'll do that. Beyond that, Zinchenko may move on, with Miles Lewis-Skelly and Calafiori both seemingly ahead of him in the pecking order at left back. Again, you'd imagine Zinchenko's gone, but that just tells me the first four names in Carl Hein, Lokonga, Fabio Vieira, and Nelson, they're guys that we expect to move on. We might be braced for Zinchenko staying for another year and running down his deal, people. But Calafiori and Lewis-Skelly are ahead of him. There are no concrete developments yet on the possible departure of Kivior, who showed at the tail end of last season that he can be an able deputy for Gabriel. There's a certain degree of intrigue around the left-sided pair of Gabriel Martinelli and Trossard. Arteta values both players, but if a sale could unlock a deal for one of Arsenal's remaining targets, that could change things. As yet, there are no significant developments. Martinelli is one of several names Bayern Munich are considering for the left-wing role, but that has not yet developed any further than that. A number of young players have been training with the first team in La Manga. Some of these youngsters, such as 19-year-old centre-half Maldini Kakuri, could be ready for a loan or permanent move before the transfer window ends, which is true. We all know Noni Madueke is joining us. And look at Chelsea. They signed this guy from St. Etienne in January. They sold him to Strasbourg, which is essentially selling them to themselves, a matter of months later. Petrovic is set to join Bournemouth. We need to start doing things of that ilk, people. We'd all love Morgan Rogers. Chelsea admire him. I thought we admired him. Is there anything else where Arsenal concerned? Some of you in my live stream were saying, why didn't we go for McCatree of Manchester City? So it doesn't feel like there's anything with Arsenal. I'd love him. I'd love us to go for Mbeumo, but I can't see it happening. Liverpool getting Hugo Ekitike. That is crazy, people. Negotiations with Valencia over the 21-year-old defender have been taking place since an initial offer of 14 million, including bonuses, was rejected this month. This is Mosquera. It is understood an agreement has been struck for Arsenal to pay an initial 13 million plus 3.5 million in bonuses. So yeah, people, we're hoping to get him in. Interestingly, last paragraph though, that I've highlighted, obviously. His deal, Mascara, means Arsenal have committed to spending potentially more than 200 million on players since March's appointment of sporting director Andrea Berta. They're also poised to announce the signing of Noni Madueke for up to 52 million and have agreed a fee with Sporting for Gyokeres with a total package for the Sweden striker, potentially 64 million. So we probably need to go and get some fees into the club. Now, it depends how good we are at selling and how, clubs willing to buy. Several players of the same stature to the ones we want gone have probably gone for decent fees, but how much money do we really think we're going to get? Yeah, if you sell Kivior, if you get a permanent offer, there's 30, 40 million, even though I don't want him to go. The Italian clubs, in my opinion, are going to say loan with an option to buy. Martinelli and Trossard, I wouldn't say that would be an unpopular decision, but it would be an unpopular decision. Maybe you get 50 odd million for Martinelli, maybe more, maybe less. You made a profit on a man that you spent 6 million on. That counts as homegrown, but his wages. Trossard is a bit muddy because for every Bayern Munich link, Saudi link, Fenerbahce link, Besiktas link, actually, there's rumors around a new deal with him. Now, his wages probably makes an exit more possible, but he's only bringing in 20 odd million. But, you could get 20 million for Trossard. anything from 10 to 20 for Fabio Vieira. Lokonga's you're only getting about 10 million. Similar fee for Reece Nelson. Maybe a 15 for Zinchenko. Maybe a 5 million for Karl Hein. I'm not too sure, people. And in the next 18 months, you would imagine speculation dependent on their wages, the team evolving, their form. You'd imagine just on paper. I think Odegaard stays, but if his form maintains, he's on big money. Odegaard, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, Trossard, if he stays, you get where I'm going with that, people. And, Teeny going, Partey going, Jorginho going, has probably took some money off the wages, a hefty chunk of it, people, if that makes sense. The Sun is saying Mikel Arteta sees Eze as the final piece in the jigsaw. However, the Sun Sport can reveal Arsenal face a major battle to sign the player in the shape of Bayern Munich. Now, he can play in a bunch of roles. Obviously, his ability to play off the left-hand side is the commonality you're seeing with Bayern Munich links and Arsenal links. And we're set to go head-to-head, apparently, in that, people, for him. Apparently, he's seen as the final piece of the jigsaw, and we're going to go head-to-head with Bayern Munich for his signature. Unfortunately, Musiala's got a long-term injury. His former Crystal Palace man in Elise is obviously at Bayern Munich. We all know he's got a 68 million release clause that I very much doubt Arsenal are going to activate. Maybe a total package could be there, I don't know. Big up the Latte firm. Sammy Moltbell's been speaking on that YouTube channel, and on Eze, he said, in terms of Eze, Arsenal's interest is absolutely genuine, as I understand. And while there's not been, as I understand it at the moment, there's not been a formal through the door approach to Palace. I think there would be machinations behind the scenes that Crystal Palace know Arsenal are there or thereabouts, with maybe making that a formal approach before then. To be fair, they've been linked with Reece Nelson and Kivy, or is there some bartering to be doing there? I'm not saying it'll be soon, but I think you'll probably need to balance the books first. But Arsenal are there waiting unanimously to try and make a deal happen. So the release clause is 60, an initial 60 plus an extra 8 based on how he performs. They're all in performance related bonuses, so 60 initially. But what I'm led to believe at the moment is that there's no suggestion that Palace would accept an offer lower than the release clause. A false, I think, at the moment, and I stress at the moment, that Palace and the powers that be at Palace will demand the full whack, the full 60 million if they were to let him go. But there's a part of me that wonders, because he's only got 2 years left on his contract, there's a part of me that wonders towards the end of the window whether that stance relaxes ever so slightly. So is this something that will drag out, let alone the Rodrigo stuff? I'm not saying he'll be available for 40 million quid, because that's just not going to happen, right? But I wonder if there's an opportunity just to maybe shave a little bit of the asking price towards the window. So it'll be a waiting game. This article has said Arsenal are set to step up our pursuit of Eze, and have even floated a potential swap deal. Apparently, 3 players are considered. We are told the names of 3 players have come up so far with regards to a potential transfer to Crystal Palace. We understand Olivier Glasner is an admirer of Leandro Trossard, and he is someone the Eagles would be open to signing as part of an Eze deal. Arsenal remain in concrete talks with the Belgium, given that his current terms expire next year. Moving him on this summer could be a shrewd decision. Additionally, we hear Arsenal have approached Reece Nelson and Fabio Vieira to gauge their interest in a potential move to Crystal Palace. Apparently, Nelson is expected to be on the move, and Bournemouth have held talks over a deal. Now, Bournemouth isn't too far from London, but we have also heard Reece Nelson, if the powers that be, he would like to stay in London. Now, he was obviously on loan at Fulham, and apparently they're still interested. For what we're talking about now, it would make sense if he went Crystal Palace. You can't rule out Brentford, who have also been linked with Amari Hutchinson. So we'll have to see, people. Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson, Leandro Trossard, anyone moving them on in a potential deal for Eze, people. And even Sam Dean of the Telegraph has said we're going to start to focus on outgoings. Do you lot think we've been briefed in that regards to do potentially that? In terms of Rodrigo, Arsenal are very interested in him. I think they've spoken to the relevant parties connected to the player to see whether he'd be up for it. I think they've got a positive feedback, so I understand that he would certainly give it serious consideration. But what I, being absolutely frank, what I'm hearing is that the finances attached to this deal, not necessarily just a fee, but the fee will be hefty. I think you're looking in excess of 70 million, probably closer to 80 million to get that deal done. I think the wages he would demand, he's elite, one of Europeans football players, right? So he'll be commanding a big wage. I mean, is that anything new? We know that if you're gonna have to pay a big fee and a big weekly wage and probably signing a bonus. So Arsenal could do it. I think they need to be creative in how they can accomplish that deal. That's why we got better. But also make sure they've got money coming in to ensure that the books are balanced. Because as we've spoken about already, they've really had a significant spend. I'd probably say Eze would be the one who is more achievable. I think we all believe that, but small hope of both. My understanding is that Arsenal, will make a formal offer to Wanyeri this week. I think that would happen this week. If the information I'm getting from various sources is spot on, which I believe it is, I think the expectation is that he will sign a new contract. I think that's the direction of travel at the moment. I think there's now a willingness from all parties to meet in the middle. I think there will be a positive and potentially a swift resolution to that over the coming days. Reasons to be optimistic. So yeah, we're open. I'm not going to read this again to you people, but more or less, we're open to getting rid of Fabio Vieira. The system and the team has evolved past him, and he hasn't developed with the same trajectory. Palace have looked at Kivio before, but what we need to understand about that dynamic is Dougie Freeman has left Crystal Palace now, and he's no longer a sporting director. He's taken a job in Saudi. So whether that interest is as strong now that Freeman is gone, I'm not so sure. But he was certainly on the list of players that they've been interested in or have been interested in before. So I'd imagine having done that due diligence, if they're looking at replacements for Mark Gurhey and they can't get the one that they want, the one player they want to sign is Diamande from Sporting. I mean, we can tell you for free as Arsenal fans, innit, people, that, Sporting are very tough to negotiate with. But my understanding of the situation is that, as I said earlier, finances aren't necessarily flowing at Palace at the moment. So that's an expensive deal to do. So whether they can get that deal over the line remains to be seen. But if they can't get it over, if they can't get that deal done for Diamande, then maybe they look at Kivio for a backup. I mean, knock 30 million off the asking price for Eze. We'll even throw in a Reece Nelson and things can happen. So yeah, Palace have had historical interest in Nelson. He wouldn't be surprised if they went for him. Whether they've got money to spend on Nelson, whether they sign Reece Nelson will depend on the valuation and the price. But I think for the price, I look at Palace, I can see that as a potential destination for Reece for sure. It'll be a good move. He's a South London lad, people. So it would be quite interesting. Romano's said not that we need any more confirmation. Arsenal and Chelsea have countersigned all documents for Madueke, and you would have seen he's done his medical. But things are shaping up. Keep it up.
Always